Hello, today is Sunday, January 23rd. Today's message is I fill each day with joy and laughter. So I'm back in school and it is anything but back to normal, whatever that means. So I am in a somewhat different setup. I have different spaces in my house where I read cards or meditate, different areas, and so we're gonna go with what just accommodates the whole situation, because I do not want to get off track. This is day 23 and I'm feeling really good about not having missed any days, and it's really starting to spill into just my whole every part of my life, not just having the discipline but the connection to a daily reading has really just sort of strengthened my own connection. So I'm really excited about that. But let's go ahead and get started. Today's reading is called and I'm just in case you don't know, I am doing the daily spreads from Sasha Graham's 365 tarot spreads. On occasion, I'll go off script because the reading just doesn't feel right, or there's something else that I would like to try. And we've got 365 days, so that'll probably change again. But for now, today is one from the book. So it's called the Environmental Action Spread. And it talks about how this is January 23rd, 1978 was the day when Sweden became the first country to ban aerosol sprays. And so, doing so because aerosol contains ozone destroying qualities, they became the first country to lead in environmental action. So, we know, right, that earthquakes and tsunamis and droughts remind us that we live at the mercy of Mother Nature. So damaging the earth, we could well have a hand in our own sort of extinction. And so our delicate, blue planet's life really, entertaining the atmosphere as a small bubble of air in an otherwise dark and empty universe. So caring for the earth, we care for ourselves. And as we are part of this planet, we're not separate from it. So we really want to remember that. And today, the Environmental Action Spread will, ask some questions that we can take to heart and see how they resonate with us and what our role is in this. The amount of sunlight that falls on the Earth's surface is in 1 minute. The amount of sunlight that falls on Earth in 1 minute is sufficient to meet the world's energy demand for 1 year. So let's sort of think about that. I don't know what this, okay, I think I'm feeling nice and shuffled here. So let's get started. We're going to cast these in the shape of a circle, as much of a circle as I can get in this space. And, so just that infinite shape. So our first question we're going to ask is, why is it important for me to take action? And we have the 7 of Wands. So why it's important for you to take action? I don't know if you can see this card. Let me see if I can bring it up a little bit. This is, real traditional Rider-Waite, borderless, I should say, deck. So why this is important for you to take action? It's about that it's him persevering, like toiling the earth. It's you taking responsibility that that you live here on this earth, so you need to care for it. If it was your home, or say you had a plant, you would take care of it. You would take that responsibility, right? I recently bought a home, and so it's after so many years of renting apartments, it's interesting, like the mindset, the shift, when something, I was always a good tenant, but there were certain things that I did take for granted, which was, if something broke or something, was missing or wrong, or, a big appliance was out, I could call the manager or the landlord or the owner, and, and then they would step in and handle it. So somebody else was responsible for the maintenance of where I lived. And now that it's my house, I'm the one who I have to call to if something is not working or something needs fixing. And so there is that shift. And I know I've recently been thinking about that, my role in, in the world. And so this Seven of Wands speaks to that. The person is in their tending to their land, to their wands that are they're blossoming. They have life to offer. And he, or she right here is persevering to take care of their land, like to work, tirelessly to maintain it. So it's important to take action, for us to remember that while we're not charged for the sun and the moon and the sky and the oceans and lakes and different things, even our national parks here in this country, right, we have access to them. I mean, some they do have a fee, but most of us, I would say, have access to going to a park that doesn't cost us anything. And just, everything in our atmosphere, in our surrounding around where we are is there for us for free. And I think that because of that, this is reminding us, the Seven of Wands here in this first position, of why it's important for you to take action, is to remember that we shouldn't treat, Mother Nature and our Mother Earth as for granted in this, like, I live here for free, so I don't have to worry about it. And it's, it's always, in many ways, she does take care of herself, and she does continue to, take care of us for nothing in return. But we can see that it is taking a toll on her. And so this is just reminding us that we need to take just action to remember that we are part of this earth, this world. We're here now, and so we should remember that and take a look at what is our role, what are we doing to take care of her. What can I do to protect the environment? Let's see, what can I do to protect the environment? We have the Strength card. Let's see, I'm going to try to make a circle. We'll see how it works out. The Strength card, and what can I do to protect the environment? I mean, this is it, right? She is fierce. The Strength card, she has an infinity symbol over her crown of flowers, and she has tamed the lion, and they're planted firmly on the ground. There's a lot of sunlight behind her. That is, what you can do to protect the environment is be this fearless and protect her. You have the infinite wisdom and strength within you to make those changes that can ultimately tame a lion. So how you protect the environment is to be that, I would say there's like a bit of pride you want to take in being part of this world, and not just in the space that you occupy, but make that space really count. I can admittedly say I have not always been the best at recycling. Currently, we have this sort of tongue-in-cheek joke at my house that I just, garbage goes in the garbage can, and then my son's job, and he's very aware, he takes the garbage out, and then he separates, everything else. So now that he's doing that and he's responsible for that, now he's realized what a bigger job it is. So he is on it about, don't just throw that in the garbage can, like, if that's recycled, put it over here, or let's do this. And it, it's a big deal to him. And so because it is, now he's taken pride in this one chore that, like I said before, we were mindful about it, was like, just, it wasn't our thing. We could go out, he would go outside, and everything was laid out at the different apartments we lived at, and he would still sort things out, but it was already laid out for him, so it wasn't his to figure out and do for himself. So this Strength card here is reminding us that how we protect the environment is by having that fierce attitude that we do in protecting what is ours. Like this, like how she tames the lion. That's the strength we all possess, to tame an animal like that, but to do so from a place of pride, not in an ego driven way, like in an egotistical fashion, but in the way that pride is a symbol of really valuing what you have. And there's a lot of strength, right, in us valuing how we present in the world, and how we do that by taking care of our surroundings. I had years ago read, I'm not gonna think of the name of the book, but it was a book about like the law of attraction, and it was saying how, if you like, it had this exercise that said, right now, go outside, and if you have a car, go and open the door and quickly assess how your card looks on the inside. If you know, if you don't, be it a purse or a wallet, open it and see how is it. And the point was like, is it organized? Is it cleaned up? If you know, if there was an emergency right now and you had to like hand your purse to somebody and say, grab me, you know, grab my keys, or if somebody, you know, needed a ride right now, you know, would you say, oh yeah, oh please excuse the mess, you know, it's been really busy and I haven't had time to, or would you, are those things that you wouldn't even have to worry about because you take care of all of your possessions that are tangible, in a way that says to the universe that you care and you value and that you're in gratitude over what you have, and that that's the strength of character. And that is what this card here, this strength card, reminded me right now. In what can we, you know, what can I do to protect the environment, is take that attitude, that pride of ownership, you know, that we're here and, you know, the sun is free and the ocean is free. So how are we taking care of these, you know, it's free, but is it free? Like at what cost do we have access to these natural resources, and how can we have that, you know, that working endlessly to protect it and being fierce and, you know, and having pride of ownership in that. How can I reduce my carbon footprint? Oh my gosh, interesting. We got the devil card. Oh, Spirit. See, I really do feel the more frequent I connect to Spirit to do readings, in addition to like personal readings that I do as well, the stronger my connection is. And this is, I mean, what a card, right? Like, how can I reduce my carbon footprint? You know, the devil is all about free ranging fun. Like no reins on the fun. You know, there's just like no shackle to holding, you know, back on why, you know. So thinking about our carbon footprint, you know, is it about conserving, what are the areas where you personally are a little or a lot flippant and not aware of what you're doing? You know, is it, you know, leaving all the lights on all the time? Is it I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to think of stuff. We have been on this sort of reduction of our carbon footprint now for the last like 6-7 months. And it comes and goes. There are definitely times where I think, oh gosh, we're not learning. And then other times I see where we really are changing. But think about that, like the devil would not have any boundaries on anything that would seem restricting of the fun. And so from that perspective, I think that as humans, we have this notion, you know, and here in the United States, I can't speak for how it is in other countries, but I know that we have a lot of personal freedoms as written in our Constitution, as is our birthright for being, you know, citizens of this country, if that is our birth, you know, if it is our birth nation. And so with that, with all of these freedoms that have been, you know, institutionalized for us, we can then feel like we have no boundary. And whenever there's a boundary somewhat imposed, it feels like someone's infringing on our free will. And so if someone says, you know, it's like the straws, and oh my gosh, plastic straws are no good, so we're going to use these new, made of recyclable material, and everyone hates them because they like melt with water, so they're not the best straw. But it becomes like someone's messing with my right to have a plastic straw, where honestly, some of those, you know, like metal ones that you can rinse and use over and over are really cool and don't take much to wash, and really would. And if that's like a way that you can help out, why wouldn't you do so with that same fervor that you have to protect your constitutional rights? Well, isn't that part of like taking care of your home? And ultimately our home is the land and our mother earth, above, you know, above and beyond. That's our first home, is the earth, the land we occupy, before our dwelling that we actually physically can walk into. It's, you know, all of our dwellings are on some sort of land or ocean, or so, they're on some part of the earth. And so if we want to maintain that, I think this devil card is reminding us to have like a consciousness when we check ourselves, you know, how do we protect this? Let's not let this strength card become just pride and ego of, well, I can decide what I want to do. And so if I want to litter, or if I want to, you know, dump this or not, you know, use plastic over paper or whatever it may be, like, think about what is driving that decision, and is it that, you know, our inability to get out of this mindset that if somebody says no to us, then they're imposing on our rights. And so how can we have a little bit of just, you know, the devil is really big energy, but I'm suggesting that, you know, through what the message I'm receiving is, how can we just have that pause button of saying, you know what, maybe I just start with something small and it's my decision because I am part of this world. And so why not, you know, not taking it as if someone is enforcing their ideologies on me. And so I really think that's what this devil card here is, on how you can reduce your carbon footprint. I think we all know ways that we can, but I think sometimes we do let our ego and our pride dictate that different, because we don't want to feel like someone's telling us what to do. So what does the earth need from me? We got this Wheel of Fortune card here. I think I'm going to run out of space. I don't know how I'm going to do this circle here. So what does the earth need from me? And this is the Wheel of Fortune card. So we've gotten 3 major arcana in a row. And so this is energy that's really strong and not fleeing. Like, these are things, these messages are really being put forward so we can contemplate our place on the earth and really sit and meditate with what, you know, Spirit is bringing in these messages. So what does the earth need from me? And the Wheel of Fortune is balance, right? It's, you know, the wheel is just turning round and round. We have all the elements represented in the suit cards are on this Wheel of Fortune. It even has like a compass, sort of like the compass, you know, drawn on there through the astrological signs. So it's like it goes round and round, just like, you know, the sun does to the earth, or how, you know, we're rotating and things are orbiting around us, and we are as well. Like, all of that is, and there's going to be, you know, natural disasters, and there's going to be, you know, rainbows, and there's different parts, and everything is happening in a way that that we can't stop or control. But what we do have to say, excuse me, in this moment, in like what the earth is asking from us, is once again to have that like that awareness that while we can't control every outcome, or we can't control what's going to, you know, where I live, it is January 23rd and it's like the summer. And I know there are parts of the country that are under, you know, massive snowstorms, that, you know, all of these things are different. And so they should, wherever we are, that's like one way to be aware. It's like this Wheel of Fortune going round and round. Like, how can we realize and be so aware of our present moment to think about, oh, that's interesting, it's January 23rd and it's, you know, 72 degrees and it's really nice. I remember when I was growing up, it would have been raining or cold because it's still early in the winter. You know, spring doesn't happen here in the United States until end of March. And so we still have a couple months to go, and it's really warm. So, you know, what the earth needs from us is for us to be present. And so not thinking about tomorrow or yesterday too much, but really thinking about this moment, because it's, every moment is like a roll of the dice. It's like the Wheel of Fortune. We don't know where we're going to find ourselves on that ride, but that's what the earth needs from us, to remember and to be aware of that. How do I give back? We got the 9 of Pentacles here. At the end, I'll make this a circle because I'm just getting bothered by how it looks. So how do I give back? This 9 of Pentacles is a fierce, strong card that is independent and abundant in material good, in confidence, in just really rooted and grounded to the earth, and having everything that this person desires and wants and has worked hard for, they have. And so how you give back is gratitude. This is, you know, this is the message, is that we're all this 9 of Pentacles. We are all this 9 of Pentacles. We all have the ability to live the tangible, resourced, abundant life that we dream of. So how we give back, you know, to whether it's Mother Earth or to Spirit or to those around us. We can give back materially. We can make donations to, organizations that we know work towards causes that we want to support. We can, give material back, not just donations. Maybe we help clean up, or we go and help do something. So it can be something tangible, but it's also reminding us to be grateful because we have everything that we want and that we need. And really, it's this reminder, because this is the environmental action spread, that we have everything we want and need from resources from the earth. So any material thing that we have comes from a material that was then turned into what we wanted, right? If we have a home, is it built of wood or bricks? Like, where does the wood come from that to build your house, or the car that you made? Everything that we can think of is derived from, at some point, something that came from the earth. And if it wasn't, and it's something synthetic and manufactured, we can still follow the thread back to how that came to be, through some, experiment in a chemical laboratory, or is it through technology, and what is that using, and what is the effect of that on our earth down the line? Most of these things that we're fabricating now that can't sustain themselves, it's through energy that is being, again, sourced through the natural resources that we have. There are different natural resources for us to capture energy, but some are better than others for the environment overall, but most of them are coming from our environment anyway, from things that we have, materials that the earth has given to us. So how we give back is in gratitude, is remembering that, is being aware that everything we have is already, began at the root, right, in this really earth energy, and it's given us anything and everything we want materially and in tangible goods. So think, what can you give back? Maybe this is, I'm getting a message that for some, this is how you give back is maybe go through your things. What are you holding on to that maybe you don't need, but that you can let go of? I mean, not everything. Obviously, we have feelings and emotions, and we want to hold on to things that are important to us. But this card of total material abundance is a reminder that we can give back. Maybe it's time to go through our closet and donate some clothes, or see what are we holding on to that we, when was the last time we used something? And, like I said, not to be redundant, but because I recently, moved, I have been going through a lot of purging, things that I have been carrying around place to place for the last decade. I have gotten rid of without even opening, like boxes that were dated and labeled. And I realized there was just no way I knew what was in those boxes. Even by reading the label, I still didn't know what it was. And I made the decision to just donate them, or if I opened something that looked like nothing of too much value, but maybe, I don't know, I just had this urge one day and I just got rid of a lot. I still have a lot of things, just like this Nine of Pentacles, but I definitely began that purging. And this is what this card is telling us on ways that we can give back. It's gratitude for what we have, and possibly, again, in a very real, tactile way, go through what we have and see if there's something that we can repurpose, that someone else can get use of, that we've already used, or just, in giving back in things that, like I said, things that we have, whether it's time or money or actual things that we can let someone else take pleasure in as well. What can I eliminate? Let's see. What can I eliminate? Four of Wands. So this is, to me, the message I'm getting with this card is again, I think it goes really well with this. How do you, give back, and what can I eliminate? This is really, especially this one here, this Four of Wands. It's really talking about how can you go through your home. You have this happy home. It's blissful. There's love, there's happiness, and there's abundance. So it's really speaking to, and again, I think it takes us back to like our carbon footprint and what are important actions. I think it's really, this message is really asking us to look at what we have, and it really appears that we have a lot. And so how can we look within our home our things, and where can we cut things back? Where are we being excessive? I do think that because we have found ourselves over the last, almost 2 years now in these different situations that we have been, many have been really pushed to work from home in ways that they didn't before. And so in some ways that has possibly eliminated, like your commute hours. So maybe you spend less time in your car driving to and from, your home to your work. And now that you're working from home though, what is, building an office type of space, maybe you've accumulated more things than you actually need in this home workspace, in addition to all the things you already had in your home. So this card is really suggesting that how you can eliminate things if you're going to continue working from home is being mindful about maybe not adding more, but seeing what do you really need to work from home, and how can you condense some of those resources that maybe you've had to bring into your home for work purposes. Like, I know I didn't work from home before, but I would do work. And so I really didn't need a whole other, system of computers and printers and things to be able to work from home. But when we went to that remote modality, it was like, oh no, I need to get all these things. So I have to bring everything, from my office to be able to do, XYZ here. And really, as I think about it now, because we started teaching virtually again, I'm reminded that I don't need all of those things, because when I'm teaching, especially virtually, I'm just talking to the students on Zoom. So I don't need all these sort of props and things that I would have in the classroom. They don't work the same. So again, my office currently, I had a whole bookcase and 2 file cabinets that I just cleared out last week before the semester started. And I now have one less piece of furniture in my office, because I realized that I am holding on to, there are definitely some books that are classic that I want to keep, but I was just sort of keeping every book that I'd ever came across my desk. And so instead I found places to donate them and pass them on to students and colleagues and other people that need them. So these 2 cards really are how you give back, what can you eliminate. It's really asking you to look in your home, look in your surroundings as a good way to, maybe unshackle from all these things that you have, maybe like how do you reduce your carbon footprint? It's really asking you to look in your personal spaces, to take just like an accounting of how it is that you're living. And they're all suggestions, right? I can make arguments for things that I love that I do not want to give up on. And so I think there's an argument to be made for how you want to keep some things and possibly then, let go of others. How can I set a good example for others? Let's see. The Temperance card. Oh, we've gotten so many major arcanas here. So this Temperance card is balance. It's a different type of acknowledgement of balance than the Wheel of Fortune, because the Wheel of Fortune is, it's like a rolling the dice. It's a coin, it's flipping a coin. We don't know where we're going to find ourselves, but we know that if it's, we know that it's always turning, and the tide is always turning in whatever direction it needs to be. So it can always be good, and it can sometimes be bad, and that's not balanced per se. It's just that it's always moving. And so when it comes to our environment, that movement that we all do collectively when we're all caught up in something is where we see those big shifts. Maybe by ourselves, we may feel that we can't make a difference. But if every single person made a little change, then we know as a collective, all of that energy comes together. And those are those shifts that are more unpredictable in that Wheel of Fortune energy than like Temperance, where it's how do you set a good example for others. It's really, that is more something you can control in your day-to-day actions by, showing that balance. Some people, I have seen these like really cool documentaries, and I just can't even believe it, where it'll be like, this family of 6, and this, 12 months, they only had this bag of garbage, like for the whole 12 months. And I'm like, no way. I think, oh my gosh, like I'm the worst. I have a bag of garbage every week, and there's only, there's not 6 of us. And so I think that like what this temperance card here in the how can I set a good example for others, it's just again, it's just really reminding you to center yourself, meditate, figure out, this, we're still in January, this is the beginning of 2022. Assess your home, assess your space. What is it that maybe you're doing too much in excess that might be good for you to scale back on? But you decide. And for this is just very individual energy versus this Wheel of Fortune that's definitely a bigger collective message about how, what the earth needs from us. And it's really reminding us that as individuals, we can't change this tide, but we could if we each participated. But because we're not, and we all hold back on that, then we just see it moving, like they said, we can't predict earthquakes or tsunamis, droughts, things like that. But some of those we might, and we might be able to shift if we all participated. And so then this Temperance card is to set an example, is really that ownership of acknowledging that pride, right? This perseverance of just working endlessly to preserve your land and having that strength of will to do so is that temperance card, that knowing you're being present and knowing that everything is in balance. There are days you really want to go eat something and they only have one type of container and it's landfill, and it's like diapers. Like the convenience of a disposable diaper just can't be beat. And so maybe there's a balance there of where you trade one thing and maybe there's something else that, you're going to bring your coffee cup to your local coffee place instead of getting a cup every day or something like that, where you may not give up all the things, but maybe there are some places and some areas where you could make that, and that's that balance and that little bit of a little bit at a time over time. So this is like, it's a major arcana card, so the energy is steady and long lasting, just like we know that the Wheel of Fortune, the earth is always in motion. We have that energy of the strength and the devil. We all do, so how can we then balance that? So how you're a good example for others is, setting realistic goals that you can achieve and show that, whether it's to your kids or your neighbors or, to yourself. And so little by little, I know we started the year with a vision board. I know for me, I have big, things that I want to do, and then I have to break them down into smaller segments of what can I do this week, what can I do today, right? So this is what I want for 2022, but now what's feasible, realistic in January, and then in January, what is realistic for every week, and then daily. And so I think this, this temperance card is Spirit's way of telling us that we can set an example by showing balance that's slow and steady but consistent in our actions towards this environmental action that we should all, we're all being sort of tasked with, being responsible for the outcome, for taking care of it, of our land, right? And our last card is going to be, how can I spend more time outside? And I think right now, I know, like I said, I take for granted the weather of where I am. Oh, here we go, Death card. Wouldn't have been the spread without one more major arcana. Let me see if I can make this into a little bit of a circle. Okay, now I'm just spending time on this. Okay. Well, I wanted it to look like a circle. It's going to be an awkward looking circle, but there we go. So how can you spend more time outside? This Death card is all, let's focus really on the sun, coming up in the horizon as to where, where he or, where he or she is headed. So how we spend more time outside is really taking the opportunity of each day being a rebirth. So what is something that you can do or shift? Really, I think that if there's one takeaway message here is that every day is an opportunity for us to make really mindful, thoughtful changes that will lead us towards this, taking these actions for the betterment of our environment. And so the Death card is like the total reminder that every, death isn't the end of something, it is, but it also means there's, in a less literal sense, the death is a representation of the opportunity of something that ends for something else to begin. So I think that from from Mother Earth's perspective, it's telling you that while there are shifts in our environment that are, death to Mother Earth, she will continue to be reborn. Whether or not we're a part of that moment is really up to us, right? That's the wheel of fortune. That's we don't know, but there are definite action steps that we can take today to ensure that in our lifetime, we can preserve that outside for us to get out and visit the ocean and go to the mountains and, go to the parks and lakes and rivers and do all of that if we set our minds to it as a collective. But in individual, we can't expect it all to uprise tomorrow and change, but we can make our own contribution to that. And so how do I spend more time outside is keep that message in mind. The earth will continue. It will keep doing what it's doing today. It did it thousands of years ago. It looked different than what it does today. And 1,000 years from now, it will still be here and it will look different than what it does today as well. And people will be reading about what it looked like at this, in 2022. The same that we can read about, 1,000 or 2,000 years ago or more, right? And so that's that reminder that, you're going to get outside and spend more time there when it makes sense to you. Whether it's you're eliminating some stuff here and you're going to spend some, maybe cleaning up parks might be a great idea as you're eliminating, or garage sales and clearing out some of estate sales, garage sales, and making space in your home. But having that balance, if it's going to be slow and steady, is going to win this race on environmental action as a whole, but you have a part to play in it. And the majority of our energy here, well, I shouldn't say it's, again, really balanced. It was 4 and 4 cards. Oh no, actually, wait, is it 5? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 5. So it was more slow and steady. Long-term energy was present. So I would definitely say to think about that, because that is a direct message from Mother Earth that, she is slow and steady, and this is where she will continue. And really where we see ourselves in that is whatever position or however we want to see ourselves in there. But be mindful of that. I think we definitely want to look at every one of these major arcana cards as individual messages for how we are really understanding our personal place and, in space and time in this earth, this earth right now. And then here are some other, more fleeting energy on ideas and suggestions of things that we can do today to hopefully just continue to persevere and really take care and love, Mother Earth the way for everything that she provides for us. So I'm going to stop right there and wish everybody a great Sunday, and I will see you again tomorrow, Monday, January 24th.